So as you know, Wells Fargo is a large organization. We're divided into two primary sectors. So we have our retail sector, which is your basic, branch offices across the United States. And then we have what we call our wholesale sector, which is basically B2B finance and working directly with businesses, providing various levels of financing. My particular business unit, commercial distribution finance, we do what we call inventory financing for certain industries or verticals. And so my team actually supports those verticals, and the number of sellers or sales reps that report to the various verticals, you're talking about 350 across the United States and about 150 between our ANZ and our UK operation. Our goal is primarily to support the VBUs by which we serve by using all of the data and all the analytics to help inform decision making. If we're doing our job appropriately, then the businesses, the VPGMs for the businesses are using the data that we provide them to make sound business decisions. So when it comes to sales force deployments, when it comes to customer reporting, i.e. information that we share with our customers that help them make informed decisions, and also the productivity reporting that we provide for the managers to manage their sales teams, to ensure that what we call our standard of care are being adhered to. Obviously, we don't have a quota, so having a hard number to hit, is a little different. So as you look across all those, what we call our commercial excellence framework, and you look at all the functional areas that we're responsible for, we have individual metrics and dashboards that we set in place to measure impact across all of those particular responsibilities. So our sales cycles, depending on our level of sales rep, we have some of our sales teams that deal directly with what we would call a dealer, and we have other sales reps that deal directly with what we would call a manufacturer or OEM relationship. And closing a new OEM relationship, that could be a multi-year assignment. So again, if you think of some of your larger, let's say, appliance dealers like a Whirlpool, some of the bigger customers like that, if they are not a customer and we're pursuing them as a customer, it could be a multi-year process. On this other hand, once we land a manufacturer and we're onboarding new dealers, which are dealers in their network, that can be pretty short turnaround. That could be anywhere from a couple of weeks to about a month. We have a coordinated onboarding process that we've defined the parameters for, that we've worked with the the Center of Excellence to actually employ. So whenever there's a new employee on the commercial side, and when I say commercial, I mean sales rep or sales manager, we coordinate their onboarding with the L&D COE, and we have a defined set of requirements that they must adhere to the first couple of weeks on board, and it's a specified process that we manage through the L&D, the Learning and Development Center of Excellence. There's always a need for continual focus on basic selling skills and acumen. In any industry where there's heavy relationships, you have to still emphasize the selling of a value proposition. You still have to emphasize, selling, your position over another's, and not strictly relying on the relationship to carry the day. So I think here at Wells Fargo, as with other companies I work for, so a continual, focus on the sales basics. So, whether you call it a challenger sale or a solution-based sale, you can call it whatever you want, but it's really adding structure to the interaction between the sales rep and the customer. We try to look for people that have a financial background to some degree, be it coming from an underwriter perspective. We have a team of underwriters, or some type of a risk background. Certainly, someone that has previous sales experience in a like industry would be preferable. We certainly have to have someone that's used to managing large customers, and in some case, global customers. So you want to look with someone, even if they're not a manager, they certainly have managerial type acumen. Is very important. So people who can, certainly think strategically. So because we'll be looking at financial statements and making financial recommendations, and talking, again, longer sales cycles and a lot of B2B touch points on a C level. In many cases, our customers are the CEO or presidents of certain large organizations. Many organizations are recognizing the importance of functions like these, a function that can report to a senior part of the organization, a function that has influence or certainly has a fear of influence across the commercial teams, and they can provide the fundamental structure that's required for sales organizations to ultimately achieve their goals, and then provide a way to measure that. Okay, it's not about just doing activities; it's ways that we can measure whether or not they had impact or not. So, from my experience, just seeing that evolution has been certainly interesting. But how would I define it? It would be tough to put into simple words, and there's a lot smarter people than me trying to figure that out right now. There was an inaugural meeting a couple years ago that was tacked onto one of the Alexander Group national meetings, and so I had the pleasure of being present for that founders meeting, if you would. So I've been involved from the beginning. So I've worked with Scott Santucci and others throughout time to kind of shape what that looks like. We've had a lot of discussion, be it on LinkedIn or in person, about what it could be, what it should be, and how to make it what we want it to be. And certainly here in Chicago, as we do across the country, we have local chapters that we encourage everyone to be involved in. So I found the issues to be the same regardless of what industry you're from. So getting together in a cross-industry format just to discuss different approaches to the similar situations is always useful. And then it's also an opportunity to network. I mean, we all have openings. We all have opportunities to bring in new people. And so getting to know the talent out there is always useful. It'll be a chief operating position. So there'll be a chief, sales enablement officer, reporting directly to a CEO type of thing. I think it'll be recognized the criticality of the role. I think as we get more automated and more digitally enhanced and we're able to demonstrate, measurable outcomes in what we do, I think we'll be able to gain more internal resourcing support to make these functions bigger. And I see that happening. I've certainly seen it happen quickly over the last 5 years. So ultimately, I think it'll be on that level where you'll have a direct seat at the executive, C-suite level type of a role. I guess my only message directly to the sales enablement community is just, I would encourage people to be active and involved, if you would. I think that's critical. So certainly, doing what you're paid to do, your job, but I think networking amongst your peers, being visible and active at some of the national functions and having an opportunity to hone your skills, to become an industry expert. I think that's a critical goal to have. And I think the more that we get people involved and to kind of help forge and shape the direction of the profession, we can ensure that they'll be around for many more generations to enjoy. So I encourage people to take that type of proactive approach in helping shape the future of this, growing field.